Hi guys, it's Mrs. Gower. I am going to show you right now how to shade your mouth. So remember that your first Canvas assignment for week number 3 is to draw your mouth and then photograph the drawing, upload that to Canvas. I will grade it and I will leave you comments on things that you need to do to make improvements or fix it before you start shading. So it's really important that if you're watching this video right now and you have not gone back to check the comments that I left for you on your mouth drawing, you need to do that right now before you go any further. Okay, so check those comments, make any fix or adjustments that you need to it. And then if I did take, most of the times, if there's things that need to be fixed, I've taken points off. So fix it, rephotograph, resubmit it, I'll give you points back, and then you can start the shading video, okay? So make sure you do that if you have not. All right, so I've got my pencils here. I have my extra eraser that I'm using, and I have my reference photograph that I'm working off of. Again, this was a picture that my 7-year-old took of my mouth. You guys should be using the reference on your phone, okay? So just look at the photograph on your phone. There's no need for you to print this off. I printed this off just simply because I wanted to avoid you dealing with my screensaver. So I'm just going to kind of move this stuff a little bit. So, all right, so I'm going to go ahead and get started. I want to zoom in on this so it makes it a little bit easier for you guys to see what it is I'm doing. All right, so what I'm going to do, and remember, one of the first steps to starting to shade, I'm going to do the same thing I did with my eye and the nose drawing. So before I started the eye and for the nose, what I did was I took my drawing here, took my eraser, and again, you can use a regular, like the eraser on the end of your pencil if you want to. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to erase over top of these lines to lighten them up. Because I don't want my drawing, after I'm done shading it, I don't want it to look like my mouth is outlined. It's going to kind of remind me of I have some older family members who like to overline their lips with lip liner. It reminds me of that. So we don't want to look like we don't know how to use a lip liner. So you want to erase over those lines and kind of blow off these little eraser bits. And as you can see, the drawing's a lot lighter. It's still there. I could still see it, but it's just a lot lighter. And I do have, these are just some smudges that I had from previously, even before I started doing this drawing. So I also want to make sure that I have those grid lines that, not the grid lines, but the guidelines that I used. I want those gone too. So erase that line that was down the middle and vertically, and erase the line that was down the middle horizontally. So I've still got that pesky little cast shadow. I'm sorry guys, trying to get rid of that. I don't have a whole lot of sunlight that's coming into my workspace here, so it's creating some more shadows, but there we go, that's better. Zoom in. I think I can zoom in a little bit more. There we go. All right, so I'm going to put my photo reference back up again. Now, one of the things that I forgot to draw in the drawing video was my Cupid's bow, and I have, it's kind of hard to see right here, but a little line right here that represents where the top of my chin is. So I forgot to draw that in initially in that drawing video, but you should have seen it in the finished photograph that I attached to that Canvas assignment. So if you don't have those in or forgot to put those in, make sure that you do that. All right, so as you guys can see, all of my pencils are super sharp here. This is not going to work for shading, okay? So what I'm going to do, I'm going to prep my edge of my pencil by sort of sanding the very edge of my pencil. So I got a nice little shaded edge. This is what you don't want, okay? I'm going to kind of zoom in so you can see this. So when I first start using this, if I go like this, you can see I'm just getting a lot of lines. That's not the type of pencil or edge that you want to work with when you're shading. You want something that's going to look really smooth. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just kind of hold my pencil normal like this, and I'm just going to basically sand down that edge a bit. And now do you see what it looks like? Much smoother. So this is not what you want. This is what you want. So I'm going to write no right here and yes right here so you can see what you want. All right. So I'm going to zoom back out. That'll get covered up. I think let me see. Yep, there we go. Sometimes I'll lose that edge because I turn my pencil or something. All right, so remember, and this is the same thing that quite a few of you guys got marked off on your nose because I still saw some outlining happening around the nostrils. Remember, I don't know if I can show this, yeah. So remember, the reason why you see an edge is because you have two contrasting values next to each other. So the reason why you see the bottom edge of my nose right here is because what's below it is darker than what's above it. Same thing with the edges of my nostrils. The reason why you see those edges is because you have two contrasting values next to each other. So the area around the nostrils either darker or lighter than what the actual nostril looks like. So it's going to be the same thing with the lips, okay? So let me get this back. All right. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start on the lips themselves, and then I'll do the area around it. Now, one of the things that you'll notice with your lips is that your lips is basically, it's just an extension of your skin. It's just skin, but the overall value, which is lightness or darkness of the color, is different. So you can see that my lips, the color of my lips is darker than sort of the skin that's around it. And then, of course, you have all the shadows that you see there. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to use that nice edge that I created there. I'm just going to start sort of filling in the top lip. I'm just going to work on the top lip for now. And I want the shading to be nice and smooth. And I'm filling in patches as I go. Just want it to look nice and smooth. I don't want those lines. I want a nice, smooth look to this. And plug that in. So I have just one layer on my top lip. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to find the spots on my top lip that need to be a bit darker. One of the things that I can see is that it's getting darker as it gets towards that midline. So I'm going to go in there and I'm going to start darkening this up right here at the midline. Now I don't want it to look like an outline, so this is where you have to be really careful. It's really easy to get a little too carried away and just want to go in and make that midline like just a dark outline, and I don't want to do that. Now, depending on where you're at and what the lighting was like on your photograph, you might even see some sort of specific shapes that the shadows are making on your lips, so pay attention to those. Remember that you're not necessarily, you don't want to copy what I'm doing because you're just going to end up with my lips. You should be looking at what your photograph is telling you. So, and that's probably telling you something different than what mine is. And it should, because two different photographs, two different sets of lips. I'm just showing you how I'm interpreting my photograph. All right, the other thing that I'm noticing too is that my lips are getting a bit darker here, just in the corners in general. So I'm just going to go through and make it a bit darker as it's coming in here. And that's happening over here too. Now, I'm trying really hard not to move my sketchbook, but this is hard for me. I move my sketchbook around a lot when I'm shading and drawing in general. The other thing is too, I don't normally, and you've heard me probably say this a million times in class before, I never draw flat on a tabletop surface because you're looking at your sort of your drawing surface from an odd angle, and as a result, like that can actually skew your proportions and your drawing. So a lot of times when I'm done doing these demonstrations, I prop my sketchbook up, so I'm looking at it as parallel as I possibly can, and then I'm going in and I'm fixing things. And I always find like there's a lot that I have to fix because proportions were skewed because I had my sketchbook laying flat on my tabletop surface, which again shouldn't be the way you should draw. You never draw like that. That's why artists a lot of times use easels, because they prop them up so that they're looking at them the same way their viewer would be looking at their artwork on a wall. It's really important that you kind of get in that habit. So I'm just going in and just kind of tidying stuff up. Okay. I'm not saying I'm done at all with this. One thing that I do see is like right here, kind of in the middle of my lip, I see that just about right here in the middle, it gets a little bit darker on that one side. So I'm going to add that too. Now my lips, I don't have any lipstick on. For those of you that, are worried about your lips looking like you have lipstick on, you're not going to do that. Okay, I'm not wearing any lipstick in this photo or anything like that that would sort of change the color of my lips. So this is all just natural. Okay. All right, so that's, as you can see, when I added that shadow right there to the right of the middle area of my top lip, now that's starting to pop out. So you should see the form of your lips starting to sort of come out. So again, I do not have an outline around here. And again, I shouldn't need one to show the edges of my lips. It's just, two contrasting values. You can see like right here, this is lighter than this. So that's how much contrast I need to have between my drawing. Now, I haven't shaded this area yet, and I will. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and start working on my bottom lip. Now, I do find that on my bottom lip, I get a lot more shapes. So you can see like I have some shapes right here. I've got a highlight right here. And the reason why is because your bottom lip actually kind of pokes out or sort of sits out of your face a lot more than like your top lip. It's kind of like the nose. So your bottom lip sticks out more, and so as a result of that, it catches a lot of light, and as a result, it gets a lot of shadows also too. And you'll see some specific shapes with that. The other reason too is just because your top lip or your bottom lip is typically bigger than your top lip. So top lip's flatter, bottom lip's got more form, there's just more to it. So I'm going to go through. I've got some highlights right here I'm going to try to hold on to. And I'm going to go ahead and start sort of just by giving this area just one very light layer of pencil. Now, one of the things that you're going to notice, and this is going to be very normal, is that when you start shading your bottom lip, you might find that you start losing your midline. Like it's hard to see. And that's normal again, okay? And the reason why that's normal is because, I gotta fix something here. Just notice that my top lip is looking like it's going a little too far over here on this side. Like that happened when I just went into fill stuff in, so I need to kind of crop that. There we go. There we go. Did I do that? I think I did that a little bit over here too. Crop that off a little bit. Got a little long. I find that it happens, my proportions and stuff, they kind of get a little skewed when I start filling it in with value. All right, so I've got my thin layer here. I'm going to start going in and picking out the areas that need to be darker. Obviously, I've got this shape right here, so I'm going to go ahead and try to get that shape plugged in and then just kind of work on this area. And probably what you're going to see is that I am going to lose. It starts about right there. So I'm going to probably lose my midline here in a minute. That's fine. I'll bring it back. And all that's telling me, when I lose an edge, that's sort of the way that I take it is that's the drawing's way of saying, hey, Stephanie, you need more contrast between these two areas. So it's just the drawing's way of just pointing some issues that I need to address. So I'm going to go in because I'm starting to lose that edge. Now I'm doing this and it kind of looks a little outlined, so I'll have to go in and fix that. You can see now I'm kind of bringing it back. And again, it's just telling me, hey, there needs to be more contrast. And I'm going to listen. Now you may also notice too, guys, that you have like some creases in your lips. I'm going to add those in here. Start kind of dealing with those here in a little bit. So if you're sitting here thinking, oh, how's she going to do that? Don't worry, I'm going to deal with that here soon. So you see how I kind of blended out that edge? I'm going to work on this cast shadow a little bit more. Now your top lip, we'll put a bit of a cast shadow on top of your bottom lip. So that also helps to bring that midline out. Okay, so I've got that one shape in there. Now I'm going to work on the other side. I think I need to take this out a little bit more. Yeah. Again, I got to do the same thing here. I'm going to pull out my midline a little bit. I'm losing it a little bit. Still want to try to keep that from looking like a outline. Got a pretty, like right here, I've got a pretty defined and dark cast shadow, so I'm going to build that up. And again, just still going back through, dealing with losing that midline. Again, this is what I desperately want to pick up my sketchbook and move it. Okay. Gotten this edge right here, so again, I want to kind of, it's kind of lined up with that. Plug that in. I'm going to make this guy darker. Okay, so I've kind of like the start that I have here. Am I finished with that? Absolutely not. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to work on basically the corners of my mouth, or where you see the midline working its way past the lip. So I need to do that. Now this is where it gets a little tricky. We don't want it to look like an outline, but at the same time, it does look kind of like what I would describe as a fuzzy line. So I'm not going to go in at the point of my pencil and just kind of dig into my paper and make that really harsh. I want to kind of make it like what I would call a soft outline. So I'm just kind of fuzzying that out a little bit. Technical term there. I do the same thing over here. And you can see a lot of times on the very midline, I'm going to see if I can, you get like a little hook. It either kind of comes down or it goes up a little bit. Actually, I've got two right there that goes a little up and down. I'm going to do the same thing over here and see if I can kind of, yeah, I'll put my drawing like in my photo like that. So again, I've got this, it kind of goes down a little bit. Again, I want to make it look like kind of what I would consider to be a fuzzy line. So I'm still using that edge that, my shaded edge of my pencil, not using the point because I don't want this to be harsh, and just kind of hooking that. So let me zoom back out so you can see both. There. Okay. So the next thing I'm going to do is kind of work on the area above and below my mouth, and this is what's going to actually help finish off the mouth itself. So I'm going to work on the Cupid's bow, which is this area right here above. So you can tell right here on my top lip, I've got a bit of a highlight right here. So it's a little bit lighter, especially right here and right here. So this is the part of the top lip that kind of sticks out. So anything that's going to stick out is going to catch the light. So I always think, like, you know, is anything low, like if you think about in between your Cupid's bow, this is sort of like a value, it's going to be darker. When it comes up and you see the peak, which is like right here and right here, highlighted because it's sticking out. So those things will kind of help you. So I'm going to start by just working on this area. So I'm looking and also paying attention to the shapes that I see these shadows making. I want to try to get this kind of as smooth as looking as possible. And I'm not going to take this all the way down to the lips because that's where the lips start to stick out and get that little bit of a highlight. And then you can see right here on my photo, this is the shadow that's coming off of my nose. I'm not going to go up there. Probably I'll just kind of leave that blank. I'm going to go in, add some more variation. Variation is important, guys. That's what's going to make your form pop out. If you don't, if you just kind of plug in one single value all over, it's still going to look as flat as the contour drawing did. So it's important. You have to show at least a light, a medium, and a dark value in your drawings to be able to get all your points. Now, in all actuality, you should have more than that if you really are looking for ways to kind of just perfect your drawing. Okay, so that's the beginning of that. And now I'm going to work on this area off to the side here. Kind of draw-ish the edge. Now I need to keep this light because this side is pretty light. Now this is something a lot of people may not think about, is that in order to do a good job of drawing and shading your mouth, that you have to actually draw and shade the area around the mouth, and you do. That's the only way you're going to be able to really show truly the mouth. So you can see right here, I kind of capped that off, and it's because you can see that my highlight stops right here. It doesn't go all the way down here. This is the part of the mouth that sort of starts to get like at your, if you were to put your two fingers right here on top of the edges of your mouth, you'll notice that it's all flat. So because it's all sort of flat and even, they tend to kind of be similar values. It's just a little bit darker here where the crease or the end of the midline. Kind of getting a little, we call it a dimple. Some of you guys might have a dimple. And this is one of those times that I want to turn my sketchbook, and I can't. Just going to kind of pull that up. Again, this would be the area of the nose up here. I'm just going to go in and try to there we go. All right. So now you're starting to see the Cupid's bow stand out. And the highlight above the top lip. Now I'm going to work on this area over here. This is going to be hard for me. Let's see here. I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to do it. I'm going to turn my paper, guys. I can't do it the other way. You can see kind of the direction I'm going in this top. I'm kind of angling it down away from away. There we go. I'm taking that down. Again, I'm not going to take this all the way down. Sorry guys, my phone is ringing at my house and I'm trying to ignore it. And again, I got to cap that off right here. All right, so now I'm going to work on the area below. And this is going to be darker. Than my lips. Over here. Now again, because your top lip stands out, you're going to get a bit of a cast shadow under it. And that mark that I put right here, okay, was the beginning of where my chin is. You guys can see that I'm getting a highlight on the top of my chin. I'm going to take this back here. And then this is going to get filled in under here. Straighten that back up so you guys can see that. So this is when you guys are going to really start to see sort of the lips popping out. I'm going to work on the cast shadow that I see right here. This is also too, you guys can see I've got a little bit of a highlight right here. This will be when I can kind of get that to pop out. Just continue to kind of work in this area right here. Work on this side. Got a kind of lighter area right in here that I'm going to try to kind of work around. I may have to go in and fill that in. Again, I'm just kind of looking at the shapes that I see. All these areas are these shadows making. So hopefully you guys can start to see how, like, now, you know, with the shading now added around the lips, how much that helps this area. I'm going to work on the corners of the mouth. And, you know, hopefully, too, you can see how those lines, the initial contour drawing that I made is gone, too. Like, you don't see the outlines anymore around the lips. I don't see the Cupid's bow all the way. Okay. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to continue to work on this. I think you guys probably see enough that you have enough to kind of work off of. Oh, I almost forgot one thing. Some of the creases. So I've got some creases here in the lips. I almost forgot those. You don't see them everywhere, and you want to be very careful that you don't make them too sort of loud. So I'm going to go in. I'm just going to look at the ones that I see. I'm just going to kind of softly add those in. So these are not things that you're not going to add these lines at the beginning of the drawing. I like to kind of do them at the end because then I know kind of like what I need to work or what I have to work with. There's definitely areas where I see it a little bit more than others. Don't see them all throughout. Some are just really, really light, so I don't want it to look like I have a ton, which I don't have a ton. Just add in some of these lines. I don't see a lot. I don't see a lot over here on the right side of my drawing, just simply because this is where things are pretty dark. In fact, I think I need to make it even a little bit darker. Okay, so there's some lines. Some of them I actually think I made them a little too harsh. So if you feel like you made yours a little too harsh, a little too loud, you can just, again, take the end of your eraser and just kind of tap over the area. And that's a good way to kind of lighten up anything that might have gotten too dark. Okay, so there is my lips. I'm going to continue to work on this a little bit more, and I will post on the assignment the finished drawing. So good luck, guys. Remember, you want to take a picture of this. I think everybody by now should have an idea of how to photograph your drawing. So make sure that, you know, again, you can see I'm getting way too many shadows when I try to photograph it from here. But this is what I would call a bad photograph. There's just too many shadows. It's getting in the way of how you see the work. It's just making it too hard to see it. So I'm not going to use that as my turn-in photo. I'm going to take a different photo next to my favorite window where it gets the light in, and I will post that for you guys. So good luck. Make sure again that you don't have any outlines showing anymore. That contour drawing is gone, but there you go. Bye, guys.